Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being. And I know your career, 9 years in the NFL, 4 years in college, 4 years in high school, probably started a little midget football and worked your way up. So it's a lot longer than just 9 years in the NFL. And to get through that is quite a test. But today's hearing really is about math. Who's paying taxes on what? And what are we not seeing, and where should that reference go? So I like Mr. Neal when he started off today. I can remember an article by a guy named Pat Livingston in the 70s when Major League Baseball went on strike, and the question was, who does the game belong to? And the owners said, well, it belongs to us because we're the ones that fund everything. And I mean, come on, we're the ones that put the money up front. And the players said, no, it belongs to us because we're on the field and we're doing everything we can to make sure we can win and to keep our position. And Mr. Livingston came up with the idea. He said, really, neither one of you are right. It's up to the fans. Because when the fans start deciding not to attend and not to be paying to be there, then all of a sudden there is no such thing as a professional sport. And I really decry what's happened to college athletics. I like the fact that the NCAA, they started off really because of injuries. That was a concern back in 1910. It was about injuries. It wasn't about revenue. It wasn't about a TV deal. It wasn't about getting out of college football and turning it over to the networks because there was so much money to be made. I think the last thing in their concern was really athletes and who was paying who for what and what were the tax consequences, because it's always going to be about the tax consequences. And every one of you today that has come here to speak on this, Mr. Acho, your concern is that what happens to these kids after they're out of school, what happens when they sign an NIL, whatever it was, and this was not a big deal in the past. As you know, when you used to get recruited to our college, you couldn't accept a hat or a T-shirt or anything. You could accept transportation to get to the school, lodging while you were there, and your meals. Other than that, nothing was allowed to change hands. And then we started looking at the math, and the NCAA said, wait a minute, this is worth a lot of money. So whether it's the NCAA or professional sports, it's about the money. I will tell you this, in this age of AI, all the states are competing to get these companies to come to their state. Why would it be any different than people who have some type of an entertainment system? Why should we say, no, you've got to stay where you are, even though you have a better offer to go someplace else? Because it truly is about the math. It truly is about the math. Now, I think there's so much to cover today. And Chairman, thank you, when you led into it. There's so much to be looked over. I would say the most vulnerable of all this are the players. They're always one play away from never playing again, so they have to try to somehow secure their economic future. And so I don't know that any of you have an idea, because what we're talking about today is tax revenue. It all comes down to who's paying taxes on what, and are we charging them enough, and why shouldn't, if you play in Chicago but you live in Pittsburgh, why shouldn't that day that you spend in Chicago, why shouldn't you be taxed for that time being there? This has become so complicated, but the real complication lies in the fact that it's about money. It's about tax revenue. It's not really about the players. As long as they pay taxes, we're okay. I don't care if they're 18 years old or 30 years old. Are they paying their fair share? I get so tired of hearing about the fair share. And everybody worries about the fair share. I don't know what the fair share is. I guess it depends what neighborhood you live in or where you've grown up. So, Mr. Acho, if you could just start off, because we really do need, whenever Jack Swarbrick was here from Notre Dame, his number one concern as he was retiring from Notre Dame was the financial affairs of students right now because of NIL, and that they didn't have any comprehension of what was on the table for them. And I love agents. Agents do a great job because they got paid. They pay for what they negotiate. Going forward, and each of you, you're all here today for the same reason. What can we do? What can we do to make it more understandable about what this is? This is a revenue raiser, first of all, for the owners and everybody else, but also, at the end of the day, for the players. So is there anything that would simplify this? And I agree that this is far more complicated than the hearing we're going to have today. So, Mr. Acho, first I want to thank you. What you're doing is incredibly important for these young people.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly. The first thing I would say is that I think that players need advocates, not fans. Even in my time in the walls of ESPN, some of the biggest names you see, the guys you watch who broadcast the game, they're fans. They cheer, they boo, they laugh, they cry, and that's okay. But oftentimes you're in the white lines on a football field. A fan cannot help you. Even a family member cannot help you. Your mom can't help you when you get an injury. My third year in the NFL, I was playing in the Superdome, playing the New Orleans Saints. I just got a sack on Drew Brees. I was fighting for a spot, and I felt like I had earned my spot. And beginning of the third quarter, I break my leg. Out for the season. In the NFL, year 3 is your contract year. And so I was hoping for a huge financial gain. Well, all of a sudden, that opportunity was done. It was ended, at least from an athletic perspective. Thankfully, I was able to go to a school, undergraduate, and even high school that had a great education, so I was able to use my mind and start doing stuff on TV, the local station. I said, hey, I'm Sam Macho. I'm the starting linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals. I just broke my leg. Most players, when they get injured, they disappear. The ship set sail. There's a business that needs to be had. It's about the money. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be going around to really building what I call human capital. So what I would say, Mr. Kelly, is that players need more advocates for them, maybe people in these seats, who can help them, yes, pay their taxes, understand responsibility, that's important, but also help them understand that you're more than just what you do on a football field or a basketball field. Mr. Larson, you made the example of Social Security, and that's extremely important. I think that withholding some of this revenue could go towards Social Security, and it should, the money that players pay. That's part. Sign me up, right? I'm already paying my share. But also in addition, someone had mentioned the idea of the family sitting at the table at dinner. They may not be worried about the collegiate athlete making millions of dollars. But I would also argue that that family may have kids who may go and play in a sport. Maybe it's rowing, maybe it's lacrosse, maybe it's women's basketball, maybe it's golf. Maybe it's at a school where they can go and cheer on their friends. These are classmates, these are friends. And so my position, that's why I do what I do, is I want to be the most trusted advisor in an athlete's life. I want to be able to speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. And I think if more of us could do that, all of a sudden we'll start seeing our society start to grow. Our young people, these small business owners in our cities and our communities, we'll be able to be the example for them and be able to step up and stand in the gap because the schools are not doing it, nor are the coaches.
Well said.